Welcome to Faith Jam, nurturing, learning, and hearing.
Welcome to another episode of Your Faith Journeys. This is where we explore inspiring stories from everyday people, but also they're unique in this day and time. Once we are hearing so many negative stories in our country, we're able to listen to inspiring stories from individuals who are making a difference in this world. And we appreciate that. And today we have the pleasure of introducing to some, and some might know him already, uh, Andre Dre Robinson. He's out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and he's known for violence reduction. But this conversation we had, and him and I had a conversation prior to this, that, we're going to talk about something a little different, and it's called the third eye of wisdom. And so, first, I would like to welcome Dre to Your Faith Journeys.
Thank you very much for having me on, Curtis. It's my honor.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dre. So let's jump into this conversation. I had the opportunity. It was probably over 5 years ago. Sometimes I lose track of time, but to hear you talk about the third eye, and it intrigued me when you talked about it from your perspective. And I would love for you to share that with our audience today. When you were talking about the third eye, what was the third eye? Some people don't even understand what a third eye is. So give them the basic and then go into what your perspective is.
The third eye is that one piece that is always with every human being on this planet. You just don't know that it's there, but it is there to like identify a path or a direction that you should be going on that you haven't realized yet. Oftentimes, the third eye is blinded by what's in the mind and what is being seen by your two physical eyes. You know, uh, your mind may say, "All right, do we have a choice in this matter?" But your two physical eyes say, "No, the choice is clear, and this is my choice." So at that point, a lot of times people often make the wrong choice because they aren't utilizing that third eye. That third eye is there for protection of self.
I love how you phrased that, man. That was so elegantly placed on your part. That I think in this world we have so many distractions that takes us off our purpose and our path. And that third eye, as you just, said to us, is one of those things, is like a lamppost of a direction for you to go. And hopefully, you're paying attention enough, or you've been awakened enough to understand that something is giving you a reason to go in a different direction. Because sometimes I know in my past life is not the same. I used to go left when the third eye was trying to tell me go right, and I was saying, I ain't listening to you. I'm going left right now.
What's crazy about that is that most people don't even recognize or understand that that third eye is present until they are older in life. Because when you're at that teenage status, you got your mind and your physical sight. They're telling you things that may not be in your best interest. Okay, I want to hang with this group. Okay, I want to hang with that group. Those two groups are doing everything that they shouldn't be doing. That's probably going to land them in a bad situation. If they allow themselves to open that third eye is going to see these two groups and then tell the mind and the two physical eyes, don't you see this? Don't you see where it's going? Don't you see where they are going to end up? And then it's up to the mind to listen. But when you're young, you are steered by things such as peer pressure. You steer by things such as my social issues, my problems at home, all those things. Now, mind you, adults have those same issues and concerns. However, adults have lived through some life to understand how to listen to that third eye, and younger people have not. So a lot of times that the avoidance of the knowledge coming from that third eye lands a lot of our young people in situations that find them in jail, find them passed on to another life, and no one had ever explained to them, that third eye is basically your psyche telling you what you know is right and wrong. You know, sadly, when it comes to that third eye, if you have, as a young person, if you have never seen an example of what is right and wrong, if your parents have never been there, your aunts and uncles or your brother or sister has never been there to inspire that third eye, then you may never recognize it. You may never know that you have it because right and wrong has never been really defined for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let me ask you this question. I'm across the line now, and I respect everybody's beliefs and faiths and everything. How does faith play a role in that third eye? I'm just curious. I'm just popping that question out to you.
Okay. Well, when it comes to faith, faith is the third eye is all about faith. It is
Mm,
all about faith because at the end of the day, you are convincing the third eye is trying to convince your physical eyes and your mind of which right way to go. You have to have faith in what that third eye is telling you in order to make the proper decision. All right. So when it comes down to that level of faith, most people understand how to find that third eye right away by understanding what their faith is in God, understanding what their faith is in family, understanding what their faith is in community, and then realizing how they fit into those spaces. As the time goes on, when you understand your faith in all those other things, that third eye gonna pop open and say, "Hey, you making this decision, but what about God? What about
mm,
your family? What about your community? Everything that you are getting ready to do is going to go against what your faith is in those areas. So, who are you going to listen to?"
mm. I love how you put that because when it's all said and done, that third eye can be your correction point for you as a person and your alignment with the God you say you want to be close to.
Right.
Because if not, you're going to stray. And, I know I've strayed numerous times, but I'm at this point in my life. I don't want to stray because I want to use, as you're talking about, that third eye of wisdom, which for me, God has given me that skill, and not a skill, but really that gift. It's a
Right.
gift that He's
Very true.
given me that say, okay, Curtis, I even came to a realization around about a year ago, Dre, that God had opened up my eyes to the fact that I was taking His credit,
Okay.
and he said, I'm getting ready to give you a charge, but you need to understand where I'm coming from with this charge. Use that third eye, because I'm gonna charge you with shoplifting, and
Okay.
you shoplifting from my store.
Very
You've been you've been people been telling you, you've been telling yourself, this is good. Curtis, you done this and Dottie die and me, I. And God just corrected that for me and said, nah, I'm the one who authors these things within you because I give you that third eye to see
very
what
true.
direction I want you to go in.
Very true. And in some cases, most human beings they confuse the third eye with. I don't know if you ever heard that analogy about having, I got a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. All right.
Mhm.
They confuse that with the third eye because the little devil that they say they got on their shoulder is telling them what they should do, and the angel is telling them what they shouldn't do. But guess what? All of that is coming from your own mind, your own wisdom, your own thoughts of what you should do, when you should do it, and how you should do it. And that is the third eye.
Mhm.
And so many people get that confused, because they listening to the rest of the world. They listening to society. They listen to social media. They're listening to every other entity in this world that has zero interest in their well-being or their progression in life. The only person, and then when it boils down to, yes, your mother loves you, your father loves you, and your pastor, your preacher, they all love you. But at the end of the day, each move that each individual makes is each individual's move. All right. And so you need to focus on that third eye that's giving you that message that is already instilled in you. It's already in your brain of what to do and what not to do. You just got to listen. You got to understand how that equates to your faith in everything that means something to you and what your direction is in life moving forward.
Great. That's great. Great knowledge, my friend. I have one more question to ask you before we close this broadcast out. Give us an example that you have experienced uh, using that third eye, or something that you could give to people that's, a tangible example for them to grab hold of it. Because sometimes, we get in these conversations and they sound philosophical and all that, but the reality, they're real. They're
Right.
real. And if you're experiencing it, you understand it. But if you're not experiencing it, it's like me talking French to you and you don't understand a word I'm saying.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, the clearest example that I can give, you spoke earlier about your past life. You know, my past life had me in situations that I spoke of earlier that were going to land me dead or in jail. All right. And when, if to be specific, so people can relate, you know, came from middle class, lower to middle class family. My single mother, who was doing everything for an only child. I'm an only child, and as time grew on, I saw how hard she was working, how she was breaking her back to go get the things that I wanted and that I needed, and how she was keeping a roof over my head and food on the table, and she was doing this all by herself. My physical eyes told me, man, that's too much for my mother. Let me go out and help her by doing what my friends is doing. And my friends selling drugs, I see the money in their pockets. I see the cars that they drive. I see the clothes that they wear. I can do all of those things for myself so my mother does not have to break her back to do that. All right. What was displaced was my faith. My
Mhm.
faith should have been in my mother, understanding the example that she was showing me, and putting that in the back of my psyche so I could use that at a later time in life when it came to my children. Okay. My third eye was telling me, dude, what you doing? What you doing? If you go to jail, you're gonna break her heart. If you die out here, she ain't gonna never recover. My third eye was telling me all of that, but
Mm,
my physical eyes told me that I knew better than my third eye. All right. So
mm,
I went out there and I did that. And I continued to do that. And I did it for a long time. And sadly, I was very successful at it. And I say sadly because I think too many people glorify those things because they see that as success once they reach a plateau in that world. And that was not success. That was failure because that was never the route I should have been on in the first place. And my third eye warned me about that. But at the end of the day, I did not go to jail for what my third eye was warning me against. I went to jail for my associations that my third eye was warning me against.
mm.
All right. I don't know if that makes sense to some people.
Oh, absolutely. You were
Okay.
guilty by association.
Definitely. Definitely. So I think that was God's way of saying, slapping me in the face and saying, hey, I know that if you get caught for doing what you're doing, you're going to be in jail for a very, very long time. However, your third eye told you to watch out for your association also. You didn't do that properly. So I'm going to snap your hand for this. And I know
Mm,
that that's going to be a smaller penalty for you. You're going to be able to come out here and bounce back. And that's exactly what happened. Had I been caught for selling drugs, I'd still be in jail just because of the weight that I was moving and going across state lines. I'd still be in jail. My cousins was robbing stores. Then they happened to live in a house in an apartment that I leased. All right.
mm,
And although I didn't know they were robbing stores, I was accepting money from ill-gotten gains from their activities. So when I would come home, there would be $10,000 on the counter. They say that's for you. I didn't ask no questions. I just took it. All right. So I'm party to a crime, to armed and mass robbery. And
mm.
mind you, I'm 17 years old when that happens. All right.
Wow.
So 5 years in, 5 years out. I was released on probation, parole after a year and a half served, And while in there, my third eye was talking to me the whole time. What's going to happen with this? You coming back here? How you going to move forward? What's your first two steps that you're going to make when you get out? And that whole time I'm preparing myself for never, ever going back to prison. All right. And I have my third eye to thank for that. I also have my elders, inside of prison and outside of prison who gave me that knowledge, who gave me the realization of that third eye, how to listen to it, how to recognize what it was saying, and then how to remove what your physical eyes were saying if they were contradictory to your third eye, and so and that came from gangsters, and that came from pastors too. You see what I'm saying? So God has blessed me with knowledge around. God has blessed me with grace to say, you know what? I'm not going to punish you for this. I'm going to punish you for that because I think you're going to learn from that. And that is as close of an example as I can give. And Lord knows I got 20 million more examples because I didn't really listen to my third eye until I was 20, 21, 22 years old. So that is.
Hey, Dre, I commend you on that because I didn't listen to my third eye until I was around about 29, 30. I was just on this destructive path, man. And God just said, okay, it's time for you to surrender to me.
Right.
And surrendering means that I have to rely on him to do what needs to be done in my life on a daily basis. And so my life started getting better, but it wasn't instantaneous.
Right.
It was just like I had to take the first step in order to move to the second step, then the third step. And guess what? I'm still stepping.
Definitely. And we always will be. But see, the best thing about it is that God ain't gonna never leave you. All right. So when he showed me through my third eye on how to move, once I got out, he put people in my life that instantly gave me blessings. I'm talking about, man, I got out of prison on December 31st, 1991. They let me out on New Year's Eve because they thought I was coming back. That was part of it. They thought I was coming back. I was not coming back. 2 days later, I met a very influential woman who was she was a director of urban planning in the largest community action program in the state of Wisconsin. And she asked me, can you write? And I said, yeah, I can write. And I was very arrogant with it because I thought I was a very good writer. She gave me a topic. She sent me to a cubicle. She says, bring it back to me with you selling me on this point. I did exactly that. I brought her back 8 pages in 30 minutes. And she put these little reading glasses on, and she put them on the bridge of her nose. You know how them older ladies do on the bridge when they want to look at you, and then she pulled out a red pen. And she just commenced to murder them 8 pages. It was
your good writing document.
Exactly. But it looked bloody. It was so much red writing on it. And she says, you know what? Take this home and bring it back to me tomorrow, with the corrections. And I think about giving you a spot. I says, you know what? No, I'm going to take it back to the cubicle, and I'm going to come back in 30 minutes with all the corrections fixed. God helped me with that.
Yes,
God helped me.
That was a humbling experience right there.
It was, and my third eye kept telling me every time my mind wanted to go back to how I write, my third eye kept telling me, "Come on, man, you just did that. What happened? You just did that. What was the outcome?" And so I had to listen and change up. I took them 8 pages down to 4 pages. We took it back to her with all corrections. She hired me on the spot in 1992 at a job in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, paying me $14 an hour. And that was a lot of money in 1992.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
And I stayed at that agency for the next 14 years. I was promoted 8 times during that time, and I left there making 6 figures. All right. So when we talk about where that third eye can guide you to, understand that third eye is based on your faith. It is based on your faith in God helping you move forward to that next step. It is based on your faith in your community, understanding that you are there to represent them, you are there to assist them, and you can be trusted with that. And so when you embrace all that and you feel all that and you react and you move accordingly, man, God blesses you.
I just want to say thank you, Pastor Dre. I appreciate the sermon today.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
No, seriously, man, you gave us a earful and some wisdom that normally sometimes people don't get the opportunity to visit, and I'm so thankful for you sharing that with us today. And also thank you for the I'm thanking the people who will view this episode of Your Faith Journeys, and I want to remind them that we have a website with free resources if you desire a life closer to Christ. Check out our website at yourfaithjourneys.com. Again, that's yourfaithjourneys.com. And as always, stay blessed, and we'll see you next time.
We'd like to express our gratitude to our sponsors and donors for supporting the Faith Journey podcast. Thank you for tuning in. May you be blessed and continue to smile. Until we meet again.